Good evening. Kim and I are here tonight, and we are going to do something that I sometimes love to do, which is to make and eat breakfast foods for dinner. So,
when our kids were growing up and we had to get babysitters, they loved it when we had babysitters because we used to make breakfast for dinner. I would make pancakes or French toast, but we're not going to do that tonight. We're going to make a quiche. I'm going to make a spinach mushroom quiche, which is kind of based on the PlantPure, the new PlantPure kitchen cookbook that's coming out next week, I believe. So I'm going to do that. You want to tell them what you're going to do here?
all right. So tonight Kim said that I had to cook, and I'll be the first to admit that I am not a very good.
Actually, you're a really
cook,
good grits.
But there's a couple things that I can do. So I've got like maybe 2 or 3 things in my culinary arsenal, and one of those things is I can make grits. And I'm not exactly sure why, but I just started doing this years ago because I love grits. I know a lot of people.
First time I had grits, I put maple syrup all over the top about 30 years ago, and he thought I was nuts because I didn't like grits. But he makes really good savory grits, which is nice. I have a grit recipe in the PlantPure Nation cookbook, and it's called Nelson's Famous Grits, or something.
But it's
that.
really not. It's really not my grits because she added vegetables, and I love vegetables. But you're not supposed to put vegetables in grits.
So you're going to boil your water, and he's going to put his grits in and just kind of cook them. And I'm going to get started with the quiche because I have some things that need to go in the oven so that you can see that happen. So you can go ahead and work on the grits. So we'll come over there in a minute and see what you're up to.
All right, this is a little scary for me because I really don't know what I do. I just kind of throw things in here.
Really good grits.
And then I just taste it as I go. But
and you know what, you're going to have to write this recipe down because it's different every time and he writes it different.
Well,
you make it different every time. So I'm going to start by making a crust. When I love quiche, and I gave it up for a long time because of the crust and the eggs and the cheese. So I got the filling part figured out because I substituted out tofu, but the crust was always a struggle for me. So I now use grated, shredded potatoes in a crust, which is really nice, and you don't have to worry about all the oil. So I peeled 3 potatoes, and I normally don't always peel a potato, but these were pretty nasty looking on the outside. So they've been sitting there for a while, so you want to keep them in cold water so they don't go brown. And then I'm going to shred them really quick. I had somebody ask me today, can I use frozen hashed brown potatoes? And I was really curious about whether or not you can use frozen hashed brown potatoes, and you can. I tried it, and it works. Shredded hash browns, I got these from Trader Joe's. There's no oil in them. They're pretty clean. You just need to microwave them a little bit before you do it, but it works perfect. Actually, I kind of like the way this turned out a little bit better than the fresh. I'm using my no-cut gloves, and our camera lady bought these for me for Christmas, so I've been using these because I've been known to cut myself on the shredder a lot. So these are really nice gloves. Where'd you get them, Laura?
Amazon.
Amazon.
Yeah.
Okay. Were they expensive?
They were $10.
It's nice when you're cooking, because when you cut yourself and you've got bloody fingers, it's really kind of a health hazard. Okay, so you do this really fast. If you have a good food processor, you can also shred them on the food processor. And you'll notice that these potatoes have a lot of moisture in them. Potatoes have a lot of starch and water in them. And you want to squeeze that water out. So this is where I'm going to use my hands a lot. It's important to keep your hands clean. And I'm going to take them, and you'll be able to see the moisture kind of come out of them. You want to get that moisture out because that's going to make your crust really sloppy. I don't know what you can do with the moisture. Maybe some of you foodie people have a good idea of what to do with the starch that I'm squeezing out. Okay, so that's pretty good. I mean, they don't have to be bone dry, but drier. So I'm going to toss that. And then we're going to put them back in here. And I should have done this while before I shredded, but you're gonna need an egg replacer. So you can use chia seeds or you can use flax meal. All I had in the house today was chia seeds, and that was 2 tablespoons. So I'm gonna put about 5 tablespoons of water in there. You don't want too much moisture because again, your potatoes are nice and dry and you don't want to add too much liquid to them. You're going to let those sit. Chia seeds will get really thick and goopy and gelatinous. I did a little research on this today because I typically don't grind my chia seeds. And so many of the websites say to grind it, but I don't because it turns into a really nice jelly. And in about 1 minute, I'll show that to you. And then we're going to put, Nelson, do you have any garlic or, oh, never mind, I don't need it. I'm going to put garlic powder, onion powder, salt and pepper into this because you want to season it. I put a lot of garlic powder in there because I happen to like that. And mix it up pretty well. And while we're waiting for those chia seeds, you want to have a pie plate ready. If you just put it in the pie plate like that, it's going to stick. And if you wanted to spray it with olive oil, I suppose you could do that. If you're being really cautious about your oil consumption, I would use parchment paper. And I'll tell you why I use parchment paper. It's so much easier to get your quiche out of it. You can literally lift it out.
Somebody's saying that the picture is grainy today.
Is it
It's not
grainy?
usually like this.
It probably has to do with the lighting because we're in a different kitchen. We're
Yeah, and our internet's not so good.
Oh, and our internet's probably not very good. We have terrible internet in our neighborhood. How bad is it? Is it really bad? Can you see, basically generally see the food? Yeah, so this is already, you can see how goopy it is? And I'm going to go ahead and put that in. This is what's going to hold the potatoes together. I'm going to use my hands. Take my ring off here real quick. I'm going to use my hands and spread it around. And you might say, well, that looks kind of funny with the chia seeds, but I think it looks like pepper and seasoning, so it really doesn't look too bad. Kind of mix it up really well. And this is the part that you might struggle with, but it's really easy. I'm going to put it in the pie plate. Are they still saying it's grainy?
Yeah, not clear at all.
Not
it's
clear.
Distorted.
Wow. We may have to cut this short if it's not. Yeah, I think it has to do with the internet. I was really struggling with the internet here today. I wasn't able to get on. And so you're going to work this up the sides. Make sure you cover the pie plate really well. This may be a problem going forward with Facebook Live here if we can't get the internet figured out.
It's not clear, but I can tell what you're doing.
Okay, I'll talk you through it. And so kind of work up the sides. Make sure you cover up the parchment paper. And I usually spend a little bit of time fussing on this, but our camera lady is going to take this back to her apartment tonight. So this was her paycheck for doing Facebook Live for us. Should be good. So when you get it exactly the way you want it, then you can cut the paper. And I usually just take a pair of scissors. Do I have any? I do. And just kind of cut around the edge. I don't want all that paper hanging off of it. This is the most timely part of the recipe. But if you use the frozen potatoes, you can skip that step. I like this recipe because you can make it ahead of time too. If you have company or something and you're making it for breakfast. So that's it for the pie crust. And I'm going to stick it in the oven at 400 until it's golden. And I would like to tell you exactly how much time, but depending on your oven, somewhere between 12 and 18 minutes. So we'll put it in there. How are your grits coming, dear?
Pretty good. What if we try to take that off of the Wi-Fi and just use the phone?
People are saying it's getting better.
Is it getting better?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So the next step because Nelson's going to talk about, he has something he wants to talk to you about tonight, but I want to get this filling kind of in here and running. The first thing you're going to do is you're going to get a cake of tofu. I always get extra firm. I don't buy soft or silken because you're really buying water. If you want to water down tofu or make it softer, you can always add water to it, but you get more bang for your buck if you buy firm, extra firm tofu. So you're going to put that in your food processor. You could put it in your Vitamix. It really doesn't matter, but you do need some kind of blender or food processor to do that with. And then this is nutritional yeast flakes. Nelson, hand me that bag of nutritional yeast flakes. I don't usually buy it in the bag. Somebody gave this to me as a gift. Red Bob sells it. I usually buy it in the bulk section at a natural food store. And let's see what it looks like. It's just kind of yellow and flaky. It really adds a nice cheesy flavor. I think it's a little salty, even though it doesn't have much sodium in it. And then I put just a pinch of turmeric in here because that's going to make your tofu a little yellowish. So it's going to play the role of looking like an egg if you want it to. You don't have to put the turmeric in it. Be careful not to put too much in because it can make it bitter. So I'm going to turn this on for a little while. I want it to get really creamy and look like egg. So it's going to be noisy, so bear with me. Oh, I have to plug it in. Can you plug that in, Laura? Thank you. Here we go. He's always waiting for food. He waits right there for food. So we'll have to fix that. All right. He's a good plant-based dog. He loves the kitchen. It's his zone. And I know he eats things he's not supposed to because it's the nature of, it's the hazard of the job for Oliver. Okay. So Nelson, if you want to talk, how are your grits coming?
Pretty good.
Okay. So I'm going to put this in a bowl, and then while Nelson's over there, I'm going to go over there and saute some mushrooms. Isn't that nice? It's really creamy. You just have to make sure you whip it for quite a while to get that texture. And I know with eggs bind really well, and in a quiche that can be really tight. And if you want this to be a tighter quiche, you could put a little bit of cornstarch, maybe a couple of teaspoons. I've done that before, and it works nicely. It just depends on how tight you want that quiche to be. There's a little bit of water on the bottom of the bowl. That's okay. All right, so we're going to leave this here. I'm going to go saute the vegetables, and we'll fold it in. So we'll come over here, and I'm going to saute mushrooms. I'm going to saute an onion and spinach. Okay, so why don't you come over here and we could talk to them about.
Well, my grits are still cooking, so we'll let that cook a little longer, and then we'll add some spices. Just to give you a quick update on PlantPure, I guess there's a couple things I could mention tonight. First, we are continuing to work on our next production run of our food. I'm going to be going back up to Canada soon, and we are going to be finalizing our 10 new and improved entrees, and we also have 5 more that we're looking at adding. So we are really excited about this and can't wait to share this with you, and these new products should be out probably in the month of March. The other thing I guess I could mention is we've had made some progress lately with our corporate wellness program, and I am really excited about that. I have long felt that one way to drive this message of plant-based nutrition is to make employers aware of the enormous sums of money that can be saved by getting their employees healthy through a plant-based diet. When we've done, if you hear a sneezing sound, it's our dog.
He sneezes when he doesn't get food. Sorry.
Yeah, that's how he asks for food, is he sneezes. But anyways, you know, in the jump starts that we've done, people typically who are medicated at the beginning, maybe 80% of them have the option to get off or reduce their medications at the end of the jump start. And he is getting very aggressive.
I have to put him out.
All right, we are going to dislodge him from the kitchen because he's interfering with Facebook Live. All right. So at any rate, if we can make employers aware of the enormous amount of money that they can save by promoting this health message, that could be a powerful force in driving this movement forward. As I like to say, it's using money to fight money, because there's part of our economy that is thriving at the expense of the rest of the economy. And the fact is, most employers are not benefiting from our healthcare crisis. So at any rate, at PlantPure, we're putting a lot of emphasis on trying to get this message out to work sites, to employers. And in fact, if any of you are working at a company and you would like to bring this message and the food and the jump starts to your company, please let us know. You can write into the website, you know, just go to the contact tab and let us know if you are working someplace where you think they might be open to the idea of plant-based and making these foods available.
You know what I like about this employee program is that they're doing it together, so they already have that sort of pod, that community that's formed, and they can talk to each other. Because I know when we did our first Jump Start, we did it at Sport a long time ago, and they ate lunch together and they talked about the food and the difficulties or the things they enjoyed about it. It's really kind of a nice connection.
Yeah, a work site is a perfect place to do this because word spreads so quickly, and when people benefit from this, all their co-workers find out about it, and it's just the perfect place to do this. And we've got a perfect program to support employers who want to do this. So anyways, we're making great progress with that, making progress with the food. We got a bunch of other stuff going on, but I guess that's all I'll say for now.
We have a lot of these things.
Yeah. And maybe I'll get back over here to the grits.
So all I did was saute the onions and the mushrooms, and then I put an entire bag of spinach in there, and I'm just going to wilt them a little bit. Spinach doesn't take long to cook, and it cooks down. And this is kind of an all-inclusive meal. Pretty much all we're going to have. Typically, I would just have the quiche. Tonight, I'm going to show you the grits. But this is really nice. You can put anything you want in here. You don't have to put just spinach. You can put artichokes. You could put asparagus. You could chop up broccoli kind of fine and steam that. There's really no limits. This is just what I have. Super easy. And then what I would recommend you do after you get done sauteing these vegetables is to kind of drain them a little bit, because all that moisture is going to get into your tofu and it's going to make it a little more watery. So let's go over here and we'll fold it in. So Nelson, don't start seasoning that until you tell them what you're doing. So I have a funny story. You might need to defend yourself on this one. One time, Nelson always puts tahini in his peanut butter, or in his, I told the story. I told the punchline. He always puts tahini in his grits. But one time we didn't have any tahini, so he put peanut butter in the grits. Yes. Actually, it was kind of good.
It wasn't bad.
It wasn't bad, but it sounded really weird. But he stands over there with show them all those spices.
All right.
He kind of
So
goes crazy.
I really don't know exactly how much I put of everything in here. I just kind of throw things in, and then at the end I'll taste test it, and if I need to put more of something, I'll put that in there. But so I put some nutritional yeast in here because it creates that cheesy flavor. I put a little bit of tahini. Again, this is just ground up sesame seeds.
They can have a little bit of a cheddar flavor too.
Yeah, so
nice.
those things together
Can't see that.
create kind of a cheesy flavor. And
oh, we have a question, Nelson.
Yeah.
When are the dinners going on sale? The old ones.
oh, yeah, we're thinking through exactly how to kind of liquidate that inventory, and we had some new thoughts today that we're considering. So probably can't give you any final information on that, but just stay tuned, and we'll let you know in the next few days. So I'm going to put some onion powder.
Onion powder makes things always taste great. When in doubt, put onion powder in it.
I'm going to put a little more garlic powder because I love garlic.
Well, that's
a little, I know.
It's always good. I promise you, it's always good.
Okay, just a little bit of salt. I am not a cook.
His
you can all
laughing at him right now.
Yeah, my daughter's laughing at me because I'm just kind of dumping things. And so I take all of that and I stir it up.
You forgot your other spices.
No, I know.
But you know how you go to a restaurant and they give you grits for breakfast and it's just grits and water? It's horrible.
And so now I'm going to add some smoked paprika.
Good choice, Nelson.
Why? I'm not really sure.
Because it gives it that kind of smoky, you know, people who miss their bacon might like that smoky flavor.
So, yeah, actually it kind of gives it a smoky flavor. I can smell it. I feel like I'm sitting next to a campfire.
Oh, this one here is the new one tonight.
All right. So,
I've never had this in my grits before.
So I just put a few little drops of hot sauce. I know that's a little weird too.
Frank's.
Yeah, so that's probably too much. But... So then what we do is I grab a spoon and I taste it and I see what kind of mistakes I made and what things I have to fix.
Is it good?
Actually, somehow that turned out pretty good.
It always does.
I have no idea why I didn't really measure anything, but I've been doing this for a long time, and I just...
Well, so when I wrote the cookbook, it was funny because I kept asking him for this recipe, and I don't think he really could give it to me because he doesn't remember everything and how much he put in, which is what a lot of cooks do, actually.
Yeah, so actually, I'm not gonna make any more changes to this. And I have a kind of a strange way. I like to eat these with toast. So I like to toast some whole grain toast, and I'll even put my grits on the toast. And it's very savory and very flavorful. And
does it have to sit for a while, Nelson? And
actually, it has to cook.
In?
It has to cook a little longer.
Yeah. So while it's cooking, so I folded in the vegetables into the tofu. And this is done. It's real. I was trying to go quickly, so my sides weren't all that great. I'll show you one that I made with frozen potatoes over.
Okay, someone wants to know if these are whole grain grits, and these are made from white corn ground up. So this is just ground up whole white corn. These are stone ground grits.
Trader Joe's.
Dad, what was the last spice you put in?
Okay, so I put in smoked paprika, hot sauce, tahini, nutritional yeast, garlic powder, onion powder, salt and pepper.
I love
And
it. People are going to be bugging you for this recipe. I love it.
don't ask me for the recipe because I don't really know how much of whatever I put in there. I just eyeball it.
So I took the old shell out, and I'm going to put this one in just because it looks better. I'll probably use that for breakfast tomorrow. But see how easy it comes off the parchment paper? Real easy, and that pan is super, it's hot, super clean. And then what we're going to do is put the, go ahead and put the tofu. Let's see. Well, it smells awesome, Nelson. I think you should write the next cookbook. What do you think?
If I write the next cookbook, there would be 3 recipes in it.
And you can bake it just like that, but I always feel like you need to garnish because I think presentation is really important. So we're just going to put some tomatoes on this. It's funny, I don't have a picture of this in the cookbook because quiche doesn't photograph very well. It just, every time I made it, it just kept wrinkling, but it's delicious. And then you're going to bake that for about 20 to 30 minutes. And I have a final product for the camera lady. She can take it home. Yeah, too many people in one area, guys. Stick it in there. Can I taste it? That's good. Good job. All right.
I need all the positive reinforcement I can get.
You want him to keep on cooking, you have to compliment. You actually compliment me a lot. It motivates me. So this is the final product, and you can see what I mean about it not looking, you know, it's quiche. I mean, that's the way it looks. And I cut it, and you can see the longer it sits. I made this at about 4 o'clock today. It's been sitting. You can see that you get a really nice eggy kind of look to it. And this will last us for dinner, for lunch tomorrow, and it really doesn't take that long to cook, especially if you use the frozen potatoes. So we're going to have grits, and we're going to have quiche, and we'll have some strawberries that I cut up earlier. Do we have anything we want to talk to them about? I want to share the cookbook. I got a text from a friend today, Amy Johnson, Mrs. Plant in Texas. She told me her cookbook was coming in on the 19th. If you're on, Amy, verify that date for me. But this is the cookbook, PlantPure Kitchen. And if you pre-ordered it, you might be getting it sooner than the 24th. That's when it's supposed to be out. And this recipe is in this cookbook.
Yeah, I guess the only other thing I would say, I was thinking someone had asked about the blowout sale for our frozen entrees, and I thought maybe I'd share a little more information on that. Today we had a meeting, and someone suggested an interesting idea, which is, you know, we're trying to liquidate the remaining inventory so we can make room for these new meals that are coming. But the idea was that maybe we put the word out to nonprofits and other, groups like food banks or other groups out in communities who are trying to promote healthy eating, and particularly in food desert type communities. And the thought is that we let them know that the food is available essentially at cost or close to cost, so we drive the price way down. And, they would have to have financial sponsors who could cover that. But the idea is that we maybe provide some of that inventory to these community groups who are out there trying to do really good things.
That's a great idea.
So anyways, we're playing around with that idea and the idea of the blowout sale. So stay tuned, and we'll let you know what we decide to do with that.
And one other thing before we go, we typically do Facebook Live every Thursday night and share our dinner. But sometimes we're not always here on Thursday nights, so it makes it a little sticky. So what we're going to do is we'll have a video every Thursday night of a recipe, but it might not be live. It might just be a video that we tape, and we post it on social media for you to share, because I want to show people the visual process of making these recipes and how easy it can be. We just can't always be here to chit chat through it, and sometimes you just don't want to listen to us chit chat through it, right?
Yeah. And next week I will not be in the Facebook Live. I'm going to be traveling, and again, it's related to our food. We're putting a lot of focus on our food right now, and just cannot wait to share with everyone all of the improvements that we're making to this product line. So,
and we'll start to bring some more guests in, so that they can also cook with me and ask questions, especially people who are fairly new to this, to show you how easy it is.
yeah, you may have a guest next week.
I might, yeah, a friend of mine.
Yeah.
So. All right, well, it was nice. Thank you for joining us, and have a great Thursday evening, and have a nice weekend.
All right, thank you.